All right, so Kyle Kulinski has responded to his takedown from Spotify. If you guys don't know, I did do a video on this already. Kyle Kulinski of Secular Talk had a video of his podcast episode with Joe Rogan. One of them, he is a recurrent guest on the podcast. I think he's been on 4 or 5 times. And one of them, I believe it's his second one, that was in, I believe, October of 2018. I think his first one was like February 2018. And so he appeared and it got taken down. So if you guys don't know, Joe Rogan is under fire right now. It's all snowballing right now. And so what started out is all the COVID vaccine stuff. Now people are digging up a bunch of old videos and tweets of him. Now some of them him using the N-word. Typically from what I've seen in context of quotation, but there are some racist clips that are resurfacing about him, like saying, he was in a black neighborhood and he felt like he was in Planet of the Apes, and saying something weird about like salivating at the idea of like the mating of like a black body and a white brain or something like that. So like weird race realism. So those were obviously racist comments, which actually, funny enough, they were actually resurfaced by Alex Jones. So Alex Jones, if you guys remember, actually resurfaced those videos back in 2019 when he and Joe Rogan were in their heated beef. In fact, Alex Jones went so far as to put up an Instagram photo of Joe Rogan's black stepdaughter and pitted her against those comments that he made and said, "Oh, how does she feel, Joe?" So, and what did Joe Rogan do in response? Well, he brought him on his podcast. What a beta male. Anyways, so would we have seen those videos without Alex Jones dropping them? Honestly, I don't think we would. Now, I can't be 100% sure with that assertion, but I definitely think it might not have been. But yeah, so in concert with that situation, Joe Rogan puts out an apology, and Joe Rogan podcast is now missing a bunch more episodes. On jremissing.com, you can see a list of the missing guests. Now, the ones here that you see without the green sticker next to them, little green bar, those are oldly removed, and these were removed early on in the Spotify connection. So with the names like Christy Elia, Alex Jones, Owen Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad, Gavin McInnes, Milo Yiannopoulos, Alex Jones, you can clearly make a trend and a thesis. Stefan Molyneux, like you can clearly see a trend going on, and that trend is obviously far right lunatics, right? Alt-righters. Owen Benjamin is, I think, an outright Nazi, and so you just have all of these different people. It's obvious what that was. But with the ones that have the new next to them, these are the ones that just got removed on February 4th, which is 2 days ago. Gad Sad, Mike Ward, don't know who that is. Michael Malice, don't really know who that is. Kyle Kulinski, you can see there obviously. Theo Vaughn, Tom Segura, Ari Shafir, Brett Kreischer, Tom Segura, Theo Vaughn, Big J Okerson, who the fuck is that? I don't know. TJ Kirk, he's also a leftist. Ryan Redband, Russell Peters, the comedian. So it's just like, there's no way to really drop. Amy Schumer was on the podcast. I didn't even know that. But anyways, so you can clearly see that there's no direct line. It's not like it's all right wingers or it's all left wingers or it's not even all political. But most of these guests aren't even political, right? So there's nothing really you can draw from this to be like, okay, maybe this is why the Kyle Kulinski podcast got taken down. There's just nothing you could draw here. There's no clear explanation. And so it's like, like why did Spotify take this episode down? Why did Spotify take any of these episodes down? But it appears that I do have the answer for you guys. But first, we are going to look at Kyle Kulinski's response to this whole situation. Kyle Kulinski went off on Spotify on Twitter. He responded. He sent this out just some hours ago. He says, "My 2018 Joe Rogan Experience appearance was censored by Spotify. He didn't use any racial slurs in the episode. I railed against Saudi Arabia in it, and Spotify just happened to expand into the Saudi market at the exact time that coincides with the banning." And so he includes a clip to the video. It's a 2-minute, 6-second clip. He talks about the Khashoggi situation, all the details. I'm not going to play that. Don't want to get demonetized. But he talks about that. He talks about the situation going on in Yemen with the genocide that Saudi Arabia is perpetrating over in Yemen. And so those are the things that he said. So, this is definitely kind of random. This is a pretty significant assertion that Kyle here is making. He's asserting that Spotify took down my episode because he railed against Saudi Arabia. So obviously, Kyle's episode being taken down is part of a grandeur trend and a grandeur move, right? It's not like it was just this one Kyle episode that was taken down. There was like 100 episodes taken down. So could you maybe say, oh, well, maybe his was for criticizing Saudi Arabia, but these others were for other reasons and it just got lumped in? That seems very unlikely considering the timing of what's going on. Now, his evidence is a supposed coincidence, which is that Spotify has now launched into 33 more markets for use in Russia, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. And so here's the thing. This is completely, I don't believe this even for a slight second, and I'm going to explain to you for multiple reasons why I don't believe this at all. But obviously, like I said, there was 100 episodes taken down. I highly doubt that his was just thrown in there. But this is not really how this works. And so typically when you're talking about an episode being removed from a platform that's being expanded into another country like Saudi Arabia, typically that's going to be removing it from the Saudi Arabia Spotify platform. So like Netflix, for example, like Netflix taking down Hassan Minaj's show or the episode of his show, I think, in Saudi Arabia. That was only taken down in the Saudi Arabia Netflix. So it's not traditional or typical for them to just take it down entire Spotify wide. It is common though, where it's like, yeah, if there's content that's critical of, MBS or whoever, that country's going to take it down because they don't want their people to know. Maybe if it's something criticizing, Putin, maybe they're going to take it down in Russia, you know what I'm saying? So, but this is very rare to see this kind of thing going down. So I don't believe this. But also another reason here is a comment that actually comes from the CEO of Spotify. His name's Daniel Ek. He says, there are no words I can say to adequate, and this is a letter to his team, the employees at Spotify. He says, there are no words I can say to adequately convey how deeply sorry I am for the way the Joe Rogan Experience controversy continues to impact each of you. Not only are some of Joe Rogan's comments incredibly hurtful, I want to make clear that they do not represent the values of this company. I know this situation leaves many of you feeling drained, frustrated, and unheard. I think it's important you're aware that we've had conversations with Joe and his team about some of the content in his show, including his history of using some racially insensitive language. Following these discussions and his own reflections, he chose to remove a number of episodes from Spotify. He also issued his own apology over the weekend. So, what this is saying is Joe Rogan took down these episodes, not Spotify. So maybe you could say it was like in concert with Spotify pressuring him that Joe Rogan took these episodes down. I really don't think that Joe Rogan's going to take down the Saudi Arabia video. And if he really would do that, I mean, you should be calling him out in conjunction with Spotify. If you want to call out Spotify for hypothetically pressuring him, which I don't believe this is true. I just don't think this happened. It doesn't make sense. But hypothetically, you would call both of them out because Joe Rogan would also be weak for removing it. So this comment tells us, okay, it was Joe Rogan. And so you can see that it's, history of using racially insensitive language. And there's a clear trend of, oh, this happened in response. So maybe the trend you could draw is maybe these are all episodes where the N-word has been used in one form or another. Well, there were some people who were actually showing they did a search for the N-word in Podscribe, which I guess is a platform that does transcription for the podcast. And so in the podcast, there's a part where Joe Rogan says, is a fine wine, you know what he said? He's talking about Kanye. He says, there's a fine wine, you know what he said in that same thing in the universe as I am him. I don't think that's correct lyrics to the song lyrics. To a song was it saying, you ain't seen nothing crazy in this blank when he off his Alexa Pro. Remember that time in Mexico? Remember the last time the episode 4 times just say, don't text me, her text me now, and we finna lose all self-control. You ain't gonna go. To raising your voice at me, especially in Giuseppe's store. Still modern day Socrates, nothing crazy. So, that's a Kanye lyric. All right, that's a song. That's a lyric from Kanye West on FML. Now Kanye makes the best music, but as a rapper, he's not good. Not only is he not good, like at best he's mediocre, but I would say he's bad. His breath control is bad. He doesn't really have a flow. His voice isn't really great. He doesn't really know how to rap. He just can't. He doesn't have it. Some of his lines, like the Giuseppe Store one, I don't know why, it just sounds stupid. Or like his line on St. Pablo about the, don't worry about me. I'm this generation's Einstein. I'm fine. I'm not even talking about the content. It's like the way he delivers it. Like, I am fine. It's like, I want to sock you in the face, dude. Like, you are horrible at this. But anyways, that's a lyric from his song on FML. So the context of him using the soft A in this situation is he's quoting Kanye West. Now, would I have said that if I'm on, like live like that doing a show? I'm not going to say that, even quoting him, but there's clearly an extensive history of people quoting the N-word, even like TYT. I think Anna Kasparian defended Joe Rogan. So the context of this is obviously nothing, right? This means nothing. I'm not in favor of the digging up of old stuff against him. But the comments he made about, like I said, the Planet of the Apes and the other weird race realist thing is obviously very concerning. But this kind of stuff I think is stupid. But so what we can see is there's a racially insensitive word used here. It's in concert with the situation going on with the N-word being used. And so it makes sense. Like, okay, we know now that Joe Rogan took down these episodes. We know that in the Podscribe it shows that the N-word was used in the episode. We know that there are a bunch of different people who have been taken down. There's no clear, trend or anything like that of why these people would be taken down. So that trend must be, these are probably episodes where the N-word is used somewhere. That's probably what it is. So that's what I'm thinking it is. I don't believe that it's the Saudi Arabia thing that Kyle is saying. There's just nowhere near enough evidence for this. I mean, his evidence is that in coincidence, they're expanding to Saudi Arabia. Again, like I said, coincidences do happen. But, this is not typical of a platform to remove it from the whole thing. It's typical that they'll remove it from the Saudi Arabia platform. But they're not going to remove it from the whole Spotify platform. And if they did, I mean, you got to call out Joe Rogan too, because according to the CEO's message, I mean, he was taking it down, right? He took it down. So to me, my understanding of what happened is Joe Rogan took it down simply because, as you can see here, in it, the N-word is used, right? The N-word is used in the video or in the podcast, and so therefore he is, taking it down. That's what makes the most sense. So Kyle is saying it's because he railed against Saudi Arabia. I don't think anyone's going to believe that. I just don't think there's enough evidence for that. I just don't think there's enough evidence for it. I think it's because of this. So, yeah, Kyle responding to Spotify taking him down, trying to give a rationale for why they took him down, but I do think that he is not exactly accurate here.